Admiral Cater stood tall, or as tall as a crystalline arthropod-like being could, at the center podium of the Grand Galactic Chamber, his 4 secondary limbs clicking restlessly against the control panel while his primary arms adjusted the hologram interface. Above him, the vast ceiling shimmered with refracted starlight from thousands of projectors, painting a majestic artificial sky across the dome. Around him sat thousands of species, each more bizarre than the last: gelatinous thinkers, silicon consciousness clusters, shadow-based organisms, and electromagnetic lifeforms with no physical bodies at all. The entire galaxy had convened for what was expected to be just another routine vote on conquest and colonization. "Esteemed representatives," Cater began, his voice processed to sound elegant and formal in every known language, "we gather today to discuss Solar System 331, specifically its third planet Earth." He said the name like it was something foul stuck to his teeth. A wave of mocking laughter swept across the chamber. Few species emitted high-pitched trills, others glowed in ridicule, and one representative projected a cartoon emoji of a monkey covering its eyes. "The primitives?" One delegate scoffed from his containment sphere, which gently bobbed with amusement. "The ones still fighting over dirt and imaginary lines?" "Exactly," Cater replied smoothly, bearing a row of polished metallic teeth, a cultural sign of status among his kind. "Our long-range observations confirm they've barely managed to reach their own moon. They invest more energy in fictional stories about space travel than in actual exploration. Their orbital space is cluttered with trash. Their rockets are primitive, their propulsion systems laughable." More laughter. One representative, a creature resembling a sentient ribbon of static electricity, flickered with what must have been approval. Another projected a satirical clip of a human falling off a hoverboard, a popular meme among galactic observers of Earth's more entertaining moments. "But," Cater raised one claw for silence, "our predictive models show an alarming trajectory. If left unchecked, these humans may reach functional faster than light travel within 50 cycles. The chamber's mood shifted slightly. A few representatives stopped laughing. Cater knew he had their attention now. "We all remember the Zorn incident." A chill passed through the room, like someone had opened a window into deep space. No one liked remembering Zorn. They were a quiet species once, believed harmless until they suddenly invented quantum destabilizers and wiped out 3 invasion fleets in a single night. Cater tapped into the main hologram, bringing up real-time Earth surveillance. These humans, though backward, chaotic, and hopelessly fragmented, have demonstrated explosive technological progress. Flight to atomic weapons in under 50 Earth years. They're unpredictable. Dangerous. Still, the laughter crept back in. "Admiral," said Tylon, a sea cucumber-looking entity with a sensory stalk that swayed nervously, "our simulations show that humans produce thousands of media portrayals of alien invasions, and in most of them, they win." Cater threw back his head and let out a metallic, mechanical laugh that echoed across the hall. "Oh, please, Tylon," he said, waving a dismissive claw. "Should we fear their comic books too? Their space wizards with glowing swords? Their superheroes in tights?" Another burst of laughter erupted around the chamber, but Cater wasn't joking anymore. He pointed to the data, serious now. "They're unstable, volatile, and evolving faster than any model we've ever studied. We propose Protocol 447, early containment. Capture infrastructure, preserve their cultural works in archives, process the rest for labor." Lights began blinking green one by one. A universal signal, yes. Species after species voted in favor. Even the empathic collective, known for their peace-first philosophy, cast their vote with visible unease. When the final vote turned green, Cater's smile widened. "Motion carries," the chamber AI confirmed. "Containment fleet deployment in 1 standard cycle. Admiral Cater to oversee operations." As the session ended and representatives filed out, Tylon slithered up beside Cater. "Admiral," he whispered, "there's a human saying, we learn from history that we do not learn from history." Cater shrugged. "They still think digital watches are impressive. What's there to be afraid of?" 1 cycle later, the flagship Inevitable Victory emerged from hyperspace just beyond Earth's moon. Behind it came 10,000 ships, battlecruisers, war frigates, drone carriers, all gleaming with the military might of the Galactic Council. Cater stood on the command bridge, draped in a ceremonial victory cape, smiling to himself. He had it made for the occasion, a symbol of his assured triumph. "Status report," he barked. "All quiet, Admiral," said the sensor officer. Their primitive radar systems are still tracking their own satellites. No signs of active defense. Should we jam their comms? Cater chuckled. No, let them see us coming. I want them to feel the panic. The fleet moved into formation sleek, disciplined, efficient. It was a well-practiced maneuver, repeated in simulations countless times. No resistance. No challenge. Then, without warning, alarms blared. Proximity alert, the officer cried. Multiple objects inbound. Moving at Admiral, they're at 0.15 light speed. Cater's smile vanished. That's impossible. The first impact tore through the rear guard. A dense cloud of tungsten rods moving at relativistic speed slammed into ships like divine hammers. Shields designed to resist energy weapons were useless against what amounted to extremely fast, very heavy stick. In seconds, dozens of ships were crippled. The inevitable victory shook violently as explosions rippled through the fleet. What is this? Who's attacking? Before anyone could answer, a human face appeared on every screen in the fleet. Welcome to Sol System, said a calm, confident woman in a military uniform. I'm Commander Amanda Chen, Earth Defense Force. I see you've met our first line of defense. Would you like to see the second? Cater's mandibles clicked in fury. You dare. Your species was supposed to be primitive, Chen smiled sweetly. Oh, we are. Didn't you see the flat Earth debates? The anti-science rallies? The cat videos? We call it Project Smokescreen. Cater staggered. His secondary heart skipped a beat. We've been watching you watch us for centuries, Chen continued. We saw your probe ships before you ever saw us. Those chemical rockets? They carried more than satellites. Around the fleet, cloaked platforms decloaked. Their surfaces absorbed light like ink. Gravity beams, kinetic lances, and electromagnetic disruptors lit up the darkness. Admiral, a bridge officer said in panic, they're everywhere. You can't have this kind of tech. You still use fossil fuels, Cater shouted. Chen laughed. Great cover story, isn't it? Really helps when half the planet's arguing about windmills. Meanwhile, we built zero-point energy systems under oil fields. You underestimated us. Again, another impact rocked the flagship. A ship 3 times its size split in half nearby, torn apart by a focused gravitational anomaly. Cater watched in disbelief as human ships emerged not from hyperspace, but from the shadows, from the asteroid belt, from cloaked orbits he hadn't even thought to check. And they weren't uniform like Galactic Council ships. No matching hulls, no coordinated colors. Some looked like cobbled-together mining rigs, others flickered in and out of visible dimensions. One ship was shaped like a tuna can with engines strapped to it, but they worked. They worked terrifyingly well. You see, Admiral, Chen said, now folding her hands behind her back, we didn't just build weapons. We built chaos, creativity, asymmetry. You built predictability. And we knew exactly how to tear it apart. In the silence that followed, the last remnants of Cater's certainty disintegrated. Send the surrender signal, he whispered. Already did, sir, someone said. They responded, with a GIF, a dancing human, on top of a fallen alien. Cater slumped in his chair, victory cape draped like a funeral shroud. Behind him, Earth's serene blue and green image rotated silently on the main screen. They had thought it was quiet because it was weak, but it had been quiet because it was waiting. And now, it had spoken. Captain Jack Rodriguez sat quietly in the dim cockpit of the EDF Karma, legs kicked up on a console, sipping lukewarm coffee from a dented thermos labeled "Don't Touch." The ship's hull, a mashup of salvaged plates, prototype alloys, and at least one section from a decommissioned battleship, hummed quietly around him, disguised as just another piece of space debris floating near the outer ring of Saturn. On his display, blinking red icons told a clear story. The Galactic Council fleet had surrendered. Every single ship that had jumped into Sol System under Admiral Cater's banner was now either disabled, captured, or floating aimlessly through space with systems offline. They never saw it coming. Rodriguez didn't crack a smile, not yet. Command, this is Karma Actual, he said over the encrypted quantum link, his voice calm and measured. Enemy fleet has gone quiet, requesting go-ahead for Phase 2. A pause. Then a familiar voice crackled through his comms. Phase 2 is go, Commander Amanda Chen confirmed. Try not to enjoy it too much. Rodriguez grinned, stretching his fingers over the controls. Me? Never! I'm all professionalism. He switched frequencies. All ships, prepare to engage. Drop camouflage on my mark. Welcome to Operation Payback. Outside, space shimmered. 50 other asteroid-like ships, each disguised with adaptive camouflage and built in secret by different Earth nations, began shedding their exteriors. What emerged wasn't sleek, uniform galactic tech. No, these vessels were all wrong, irregular, improvised, uniquely human. Some had missile pods bolted on like afterthoughts. Others looked like repurposed mining equipment. A few even pulsed, with strange, alien energy signatures stolen from downed probes and reverse-engineered in labs beneath the Mojave. But they all had one thing in common. They were armed, deadly, and synchronized. The target, the jump gate network the Galactic Council had built to reach Earth. It was their highway through the stars, a spiderweb of stabilized wormholes, carefully mapped and maintained across it. As so many conspiracy theories about secret bases, sectors. And now, it was about to become humanity's personal express lane. Inside the Karma, Rodriguez leaned forward, target gate locked. Spinning up main gun. The ship's core weapon code, named Ragnarok by the engineers who built it, wasn't standard by any definition. Powered by a fusion of quantum-entangled reactors and some form of alien probability-bending crystal, it could do more than just destroy targets. It could change them, rewire space, reshape reality. A deep hum vibrated through the ship as the system charged. Sending our regards to the Council, Rodriguez muttered. He squeezed the trigger. A bolt of quantum-locked particles lanced through the dark, invisible to most sensors until it reached the gate. Instead of destroying it, the beam rewrote the jump destination, a neat little trick Earth scientists had figured out after months of decoding Council communication protocols. The gate flickered, stuttered, and then stabilized. Now linked not to a backline transport hub, but straight to the heart of the Galactic Council's capital system. Rodriguez leaned back. And just like that, he said, the front doors wide open. Elsewhere, aboard the now captured flagship Inevitable Victory, Admiral Cater sat in what used to be his command chair, now a repurposed holding seat. His ceremonial cape, once stiff with pride, sagged across his chest. One screen after another showed flashing red warnings. Admiral, one of the guards said, suppressing a chuckle, humans are attacking through the gates. All of them, simultaneously. That's impossible, Cater snapped. They don't control those routes. They can't. They do now, the guard interrupted. Apparently, they hacked the targeting protocols. Rewired the exit vectors. Cater turned pale, a difficult feat for someone with a crystalline shell. How? He demanded. How did they build all this without us knowing? A second guard leaned in. Ever wonder why Earth has so many conspiracy theories about secret bases? Turns out, it's the perfect cover for real ones. The first added, and those UFO sightings? Test flights, crop circles, landing pads. Cater didn't reply. His silence said enough. Back on the Karma, Rodriguez coordinated with the fleet. Ships were now leaping through reconfigured gates at random intervals, entering Council-controlled space in ways no one expected. The genius of it wasn't just the tech, it was the planning. Each human ship had a specific destination: communications hubs, shipyards, transport depots. The very arteries of the Council's galactic empire. What followed wasn't a chaotic brawl, it was precision sabotage. One converted mining vessel dropped out of a gate near the AI core facility on Delta Row 6 and detonated an MP burst that shorted an entire sector. Another, shaped like a massive garbage scow, disabled a Council dreadnought mid-refit and then uploaded footage of it being dragged away by a human tugboat. Captain, Rodriguez's tactical officer called out. We're receiving multiple surrenders. No organized response so far. He nodded. They weren't built to defend, just conquer. Now, they don't know what to do. Sir, another officer piped in. Silicon consciousness attempting to breach our network. Rodriguez didn't flinch. Let him try. Seconds later, alarm sounded. But not on the Karma, on the Council side. Rodriguez smiled as he watched the feed. We just rickrolled an artificial civilization, someone whispered, stunned. On screen, Council systems flickered to black, then displayed an ancient video. A human in a trench coat dancing as upbeat music played. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. It played on every screen, every terminal, every command deck. Rodriguez leaned back. and now they understand Memento. All across council space, chaos unfolded. The empathic collective tried to broadcast psychic calming waves. But humanity, after decades of online flame wars and social media discourse, had developed a kind of natural immunity to empathy-based influence. The quantum nexus attempted to predict Earth's next move, only to be thrown off by human commanders making illogical decisions that shouldn't have worked but did. Captured comms showed council species turning on each other. Accusations flew. Panic set in. They were supposed to be primitive. Your data said they were decades from FDL. No one told us they'd weaponized stupidity. Meanwhile, Rodriguez watched as Earth's forces continued to capture jump gate after jump gate. Each success opened a new front, a new pathway deeper into the Council's territory. One battle group led by a human-built carrier made from repurposed ocean vessels had already reached the economic district on Sigma Kian. They broadcast fast food ads and cultural programming in every known language, destabilizing not with weapons, but with culture. And worse, people liked it. On the edge of Earth's orbit, Luna's defense platforms were now fully operational. Towering black constructs that had, until now, been hidden beneath the lunar surface, powered up and locked onto deep space targets. They weren't just missile silos. Each contained what the human engineers had jokingly dubbed the Humanity Stick, a device that operated on a weaponized version of chaos theory. What's it actually do? Someone had once asked. The answer, it bends probability until nothing makes sense anymore. When fired, it didn't destroy. It confused. It disoriented. One council warship found itself briefly transformed into a 300-meter rubber duck. Another broadcast its deepest classified secrets to an alien cooking channel. That's just mean, Rodriguez commented, watching the chaos unfold. Effective, but mean. As surrender signals flooded in from across the sector, I hear you were planning to build processing centers on Earth. We've got a counteroffer. Gator looked up, his pride crushed, his command shattered. What? What do you want? Rodriguez shrugged. Cultural exchange. The channel cut. At the Galactic Council's capital world, emergency meetings broke out as human forces marched not with guns, but with snacks, art, and charm. In just weeks, Earth had flipped the script. The Council built roads to invade a supposedly weak world, but humanity paved them into highways for a cultural invasion the galaxy could never have predicted. Commander Amanda Chen stood alone in the observation deck of Earth Defense Command, sipping espresso from a mug that read Flat Earth Society Vice President. She smirked as she watched the swirling debris fields of the defeated Galactic Council fleet still tumbling in low orbit. Somewhere out there, Admiral Cater was likely pacing a holding cell, wondering how everything had gone so wrong. Truth be told, he never stood a chance. Not really. Behind her, the solar system's defense grid hummed to life as the cleanup teams went to work. Dozens of lunar defense satellites were still camouflaged. The media hadn't even reported their existence. Humanity didn't just win through firepower, it won through misinformation, patience, and manipulation of something far more effective than kinetic weapons. Culture. Project Smokescreen hadn't started in a lab. It didn't begin with a secret document labeled Top Secret, deceive alien observers. No, it started decades ago, almost by accident. It began with humans doing what they'd always done best, fighting on the internet. Do you seriously think the moon landing was fake? Dinosaurs built the pyramids? Birds aren't real. Earth's culture was messy, absurd, contradictory, and broadcast in every direction through thousands of satellites and networked platforms. Aliens looking in had no idea how to interpret it, and that was exactly the point. In the early 2100 seconds, Earth detected the first anomaly, a slow-moving, deep space probe that didn't match any known pattern. It was subtle, hiding in the asteroid belt, passively observing. It didn't emit signals, didn't respond to pings, just watched. They'd been watching for a long time. Humanity didn't panic. It didn't launch missiles or scramble fighters. Instead, the United Defense Coalition met behind closed doors and launched a campaign unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They started making reality shows. Literally. Flat Earth, The Real Truth debuted in 2117. Within a month, it was Earth's most watched streaming show. Of course, it was fake, carefully scripted nonsense with just enough real science errors to confuse outside observers. Social media bots pushed arguments about whether gravity existed. Many factories mass-produced debates about whether space was even real. It was absurd. It was divisive. It was brilliant. The aliens intercepting every signal were baffled. One report from a council surveillance AI read, "Human species is inconsistent. Half believe in technological supremacy. Half believe in anti-intellectual ideologies. Overall, unstable, self-destructive, low threat." Just as planned. By 2125, Earth had created dozens of intentional fringe communities. Some were real, most weren't. Public discourse was a performance. Forums were engineered chaos. People argued about vaccines, moon bases, energy sources, and the shape of the planet. Scientists quietly laughed in underground labs while YouTubers screamed into the void about how Mars was a hologram. It wasn't just for show, it was strategic. While galactic sensors monitored public feeds, humanity worked in the shadows. Cities were built underground. Orbital weapon arrays were disguised as decommissioned weather satellites. Energy grids were shielded under urban infrastructure. Every new space mission included multiple hidden payloads, one visible for the aliens, one invisible for Earth's actual defense network. A senior council analyst once submitted a report stating, "Their technological potential is hindered by internal division and cognitive chaos. Risk factor, negligible." That analyst was later killed when his ship got turned inside out by a stealth platform disguised as a derelict Soviet satellite. Chen turned away from the stars and walked into the command briefing room, where Captain Rodriguez and a few other EDF commanders were already reviewing battle footage. One screen showed a council battleship exploding from within. Another played surveillance of a probe floating past Earth's atmosphere, absorbing signals from a staged Twitter argument about whether aliens had lizard DNA. Rodriguez was eating pretzels. "Still can't believe they bought it," he said between bites. Chen chuckled. "They didn't just buy it. They paid in full and asked for seconds." During the early years of Project Smokescreen, Earth's intelligence agencies realized something profound. Aliens had trouble interpreting human nuance. They couldn't process sarcasm, irony, or parody. They took everything at face value. A sitcom about a man living in a basement arguing with conspiracy theorists. The council flagged it as an actual political meeting. A podcast where hosts debated whether or not time was a social construct? Labeled Earth Time Standard Conference. A movie about alien invasions where humans always win? Deemed propaganda. Hilariously ineffective. They missed the point. The true purpose of those films wasn't to warn humanity. It was to mislead outsiders. And it worked. "You remember when we faked that rocket launch?" Rodriguez said. "Which one?" Chen replied. "The one with the space toaster. That whole mission was designed to make them think we didn't know how gravity worked." "Oh right," Chen smirked. "Meanwhile, we were installing orbital kinetic slings." Rodriguez leaned back. "Honestly, I think my favorite moment was the Great TikTok War." Chen raised an eyebrow. "You know," he continued, "when we had influencers argue over whether or not the sun was cold." Chen laughed out loud. "Aliens spent 6 months trying to figure out if that was metaphorical," she said. "Meanwhile, we were decoding council signal encryption and storing it in fast food drive-through menus. The genius of it was in its subtlety. Earth didn't block alien observers. It invited them in. Let them watch everything. Let them think humanity was fractured, irrational, barely surviving under its own stupidity. And while the galaxy watched with popcorn in claw and tendril, humanity was drilling bunkers into the Martian crust, launching quantum-entangled data packets into deep space, and quietly constructing warp-capable ships beneath Antarctica. The final insult. All of it was paid for with crowdfunding and disguised as reality show budgets. At one point, a council listening post flagged a massive energy signature coming from Earth's Pacific region. Their analysts traced it to a music festival called Bassfest 2165, an event so loud it caused tremors across 3 tectonic plates. The official report. Cultural ritual involving subsonic auditory experimentation. No strategic relevance. They failed to notice the real operation taking place beneath the stage. The activation of Earth's planetary defense grid's eastern node. They were too busy analyzing song lyrics. In 2132, when the first Council fleet entered Sol System, they expected a panicked planet barely united by a patchwork of inconsistent governments and outdated rockets. What they got Instead was a synchronized, pre-armed planetary defense network, trigger-ready orbital platforms, and command centers already prepared for every possible response scenario. The Council didn't lose because they were weak. They lost because they fought the version of humanity they thought existed, the one they saw on Reddit arguments and late-night TV shows, not the one hiding in plain sight. Back in the command room, Chen clicked through a classified archive. The Council's own predictive AI had concluded just weeks before the invasion. Earth is unlikely to pose meaningful resistance. Any attempts at organized defense will collapse within days. Beneath that was Earth's internal report. Probability of successful enemy invasion, near zero. Psychological operations confirmed. All smokescreen units functioning. Proceed with public chaos as normal. Rodriguez finished his pretzels and tossed the bag in the bin. You ever think we took it too far? He asked. Chen shook her head. They were planning to enslave us, make our culture museum exhibits, turn us into miners and breeders. Still, faking all those online debates about whether clouds are government spies. Chen grinned. That one was your idea. Rodriguez held up his hands. Hey, I was drunk. And technically right. Outside, human cleanup teams were escorting surrendered Council ships to safe orbits. Council prisoners were being processed, questioned, and in many cases, educated politely, firmly, and with heavy doses of sarcasm. In the diplomatic wing, Earth's Cultural Liaison Office was preparing its next round of misinformation exports. Their goal? Continue to be underestimated. Keep the enemy confused. The next phase of Project Smokescreen was underway. It was called Project Obscura. In one room, an EDF officer was uploading thousands of memes to the galactic internet. In another, Earth's top psychologists were analyzing which alien species were most susceptible to satire, slapstick, or bad puns. In yet another, weaponized dance routines. When someone asked why, the answer was simple: because it worked. The galaxy had expected brute force. It had expected chaos. It had expected dumb, violent humans charging into battle waving flags and throwing rocks. Instead, it got something far more terrifying. A united species that had spent a century building itself into a mirror of dysfunction so believable, so layered in misinformation, that even the most advanced civilizations in the known universe couldn't see through it. By the time they realized what was real, it was already too late. The joke was on them. And humans? Humans never stopped laughing. 6 months after the failed invasion of Earth, the galaxy looked different. Not scorched, not conquered, not even formally reorganized under new rule, just strangely human. Commander Amanda Chen stood on the terrace of Earth's first official galactic embassy, located in geosynchronous orbit above New Vienna, a city purpose-built on the ruins of a former Council trade hub. Below her, a fleet of alien ships lined up politely in the embassy's approach corridor, each waiting for docking clearance. Some carried diplomats, others carried trade representatives, a few just came for the food. Another gift basket from the Silicon Consciousness, her aide, Rachel, announced, gesturing to a crystalline pod glowing with encoded particles. They're offering exclusive quantum computing access again. Chen sighed and pointed toward a nearby hallway already stacked with glowing artifacts. Just add it to the pile. Put it next to the antimatter cores from the Energy Collective. Right next to the folding dimension engines from the Quantum Nexus. You got it? 6 months ago, Earth was nearly enslaved. Now, the galaxy couldn't stop sending it gifts. It didn't happen because of superior weapons, though. Yes, humanity had them. It didn't happen because Earth conquered planets, because it didn't. The real victory came after the war, not through force, but through culture. Soft power. Psychological dominance. Charm. And, most terrifyingly to the Galactic Council, fast food. Down in the visitor atrium, Captain Jack Rodriguez stood in front of a wide-eyed audience of aliens from the Organic Harmony Cluster. The room smelled vaguely of fried oil and something sugary. On the table beside him sat a cheeseburger, a milkshake, and an unholy pile of fries. "You're telling me," one alien muttered, its leafy photosynthetic arms trembling slightly, "that this food contains no nutritional value?" Rodriguez grinned. "None. Not a bit, but it tastes amazing. Try dipping the fries in the milkshake." There was a pause. Then one alien tentatively did just that. A moment of silence, a blink, then a soft exhale. "Oh no," it whispered. "Welcome to humanity," Rodriguez said. We do it for the flavor. 3 aliens immediately signed up for Earth food franchise licenses. Elsewhere in the old council capital, now partially converted into what humans insisted on calling the food court district, former representatives of over 80 species wandered through stalls with names like Taco Nebula, Donut Gravity, and Kebab of Destiny. One popular corner was a stall simply called Memes. The line wrapped around the building. A small octopus-like being studied a sticker of a grumpy cat wearing a crown with the caption, "Bow before your Meme Majesty." "What does it mean?" the creature asked, confused and fascinated. "It means everything," the vendor said solemnly, "and nothing." The octopus bought 5. Chen watched the scene unfold from her diplomatic quarters, still amused by how quickly everything had changed. After the war, humanity didn't occupy planets or force treaties. Instead, it launched what came to be called Project Crossroads, a campaign of peaceful cultural expansion. Trade agreements, tech sharing, educational exchanges, all wrapped in sarcasm, snacks, and sitcoms. The galaxy expected retaliation. Instead, it got Wi-Fi passwords and Spotify playlists. Ambassador Vexa of the Council, the same Vexa who once voted for Earth's containment, now sat in a corner office with a coffee mug that read Galaxy's okayest diplomat. "Commander," she said during their weekly debrief, "the Hive M Collective is offering exclusive mining rights in their outer asteroid fields. In exchange, they want Netflix." Chen didn't even look up from her tablet. "Tell them they can have streaming rights when they stop trying to reverse engineer our meme formats." Vexa blinked her many eyes. They attempted to convert a meme into a physical energy signature, and it exploded. Chen shrugged. "Sounds about right." At a newly converted tourist center, alien crowds watched a human competitive eating event with horrified fascination. 2 men were seeing who could eat more hot dogs in 10 minutes. The audience contained species with 6 stomachs who still couldn't believe what they were watching. "Is this entertainment?" one asked. "No," another replied. "It's performance art." The Quantum Nexus, once the Council's most logical, elite society, was now Earth's largest foreign producer of reality television. Their new hit show, Keeping Up with the Cardassians, not a typo. They added an extra X to avoid copyright. It didn't work. They were sued. In 3 dimensions simultaneously. And they loved it. The Galactic Exchange District, once a sterile grid of, was now a bustling open-air bazaar selling Earth collectibles. One shop sold vintage Nokia phones that humans had long since abandoned. "They're indestructible," the owner said, demonstrating by dropping one on the ground. The crystalline 4 cracked. The phone didn't. A nearby alien fainted. Back in orbit, Chen tapped through her morning intelligence report. Subject: Meme economy concerns from Economic Directorate to Earth Embassy. Commander Chen, the Silicon Consciousness, has diverted 30% of their processing power to generating holographic cat videos. Request Earth intervention. She opened the live feed. Holograms of kittens meowed in perfect rhythm, some phasing in and out of higher dimensions. "Let them be," she said, waving it off. "Better this than their last obsession with human soap operas." "Wait," Rachel said. "Wasn't their last obsession Love Island?" "Exactly." Rodriguez, meanwhile, had his own problems. The harmonious collective of empaths had tried to psychically scan human sports fans. They were now in recovery. The emotional attachment to imaginary teams, one of them whispered, eyes wide. "It's irrational, but contagious." They had canceled 3 meditation conferences, but kept the jerseys. One council shipyard, previously the pride of the galactic military, was now being used to manufacture floating food trucks for Earth cuisine. Each truck played music. Each was staffed by overly enthusiastic humans. Each had a sign that read, "We come in Greece." And yet, the most shocking transformation was philosophical. Several planetary governments across the Council had adopted democratic systems after Earth's cultural export of voting. Entire populations that had previously lived under royal decrees were now debating tax reform and whether pineapple belonged on pizza. Earth's official stance remained only if you're brave enough. A year earlier, the Council had tried to erase humanity from the stars. Now, they couldn't get enough of it. From tattooing Earth pop lyrics onto tentacles, to dancing TikTok challenges in zero gravity, to scheduling planetary siestas around K-drama airings, galactic civilizations were becoming human not by coercion, but by choice. "Commander," Vexa said during their quarterly briefing, "the Council is concerned." Chen raised an eyebrow. About what now? You're expanding too slowly. Chen blinked. Come again. They expected you to colonize aggressively. You haven't. That's because we don't want to. We're not conquerors. They're confused. Chen smiled. Good. Let them stay confused. A few moments later, she received a follow-up message from the Silicon Consciousness. Subject: Urgent request body. Permission to initiate meme-based cryptocurrency. We call it Mayhem Coin. She deleted it without opening, but not everything was chaotic. At the former site of the Galactic Council's containment headquarters, Earth had built a library. Inside were thousands of cultural artifacts shared freely with any species willing to learn. Books, films, art, food, and yes, music. One display simply read, "We're weird, we know, but we're worth it." Rodriguez returned from a meeting with a species made of sentient gas. They want to know if we can teach them how to cook, he said. Chen looked up. Can they eat? Nope. They just want to know how. Perhaps that was the biggest shift. The galaxy stopped seeing humans as a threat or a curiosity. They started seeing them as teachers, entertainers, companions, a species that didn't try to dominate the stars, just make them laugh. And maybe hand out a few tacos. The galactic chamber was quieter than usual, not because nothing was happening, quite the opposite. The usual bustling light shows, overlapping conversations, and pulsating diplomatic fields had all been replaced with stunned silence and the occasional uncomfortable shuffling of appendages. Commander Amanda Chen stood at the central podium, looking every bit as confident as she had 6 months ago during the surrender negotiations. Her uniform was crisp, her expression calm, controlled, dangerous. Behind her, massive holographic displays floated in the air. What they showed wasn't battle footage or weapons schematics. It was something far more damning: blueprints, logs, file transfers, communication intercepts. All of it meticulously organized, all of it stamped with the same thing at the bottom. Origin, Earth, classified. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Chen said, scrolling casually through a list of file names. Protocol 447. The Council's standard planetary containment policy, the same one you voted unanimously to use against Earth. It includes quantum lockdown fields, energy nullification grids, and subspace disruption nodes, right? Dozens of alien representatives nodded hesitantly. Some looked away. Great, Chen continued, her voice as chipper as a late-night TV host. Well, here's the problem. Your Protocol 447 isn't yours. She tapped her screen. The main display zoomed in on a fragment of code deep black with lines of shimmering green text running down like rain. It looked oddly familiar. See that string of code there? She said, pointing with a stylus. That's a human-made compression standard. Specifically designed by a programmer named Jax Morales in 2093, from Bogota, Colombia. Used originally for image streaming on mobile social networks. We buried it inside a decoy cloud service as part of Project Atlas. The room didn't gasp. Not out loud, but several representatives blinked hard. A few biometric displays glowed red with elevated stress levels. One creature turned slightly blue, which was probably bad. Chen didn't stop. This quantum lockdown mechanism, she said, sliding to the next page, was based on a theory developed at MIT in 2102. Never published, but stolen via a cyber attack on a closed server simulation cluster. We traced the breach. The transmission bounced through 19 relay stations across 4 sectors before reaching a council probe. She paused. In other words, you didn't invent your containment protocols. You stole them. Rodriguez leaned against the back wall of the chamber, arms crossed, watching the room unravel. He wasn't wearing a military uniform, just jeans and a t-shirt with the words, "World's okayest threat." He chewed gum loudly and made direct eye contact with anyone who dared look his way. He was enjoying this. Probably too much. Back at the front, Chen continued, "For years, we wondered how a supposedly ancient and advanced galactic civilization kept deploying tech that somehow matched ours. Even when we kept it hidden, even when we locked it down, the display changed to show a timeline. Each council tech innovation, perfectly matched to a corresponding Earth discovery, sometimes years later, sometimes weeks, and then we realized you were spying on us. Worse, you were cherry-picking inventions, modifying them slightly, and passing them off as your own. Your AI constructs, your energy grid design, your signal encryption layers, they're all based on Earth-born tech. Even your subspace translators rely on a linguistics engine reverse engineered from an abandoned Amazon Alexa project. Rodriguez let out a low whistle. Can't believe they left the AI. I didn't catch that bug intact. Ambassador Vexa, seated near the center of the hall, looked like she wanted to dissolve into her chair. Her once smooth bioluminescence now flashed erratically, like a broken lead. This is impossible, she stammered. The Council's research protocols are thorough. We have, Jen cut her off. You have access, that's all. You've had it for over a century. We let you see what we wanted you to see. And you took the bait. Telon, the cucumber-like delegate with a sensitive sensory stalk, spoke next. But the designs we gathered, surely they were leaked. You can't claim ownership if— Oh, we can, Chen said, smiling. And we are. You see, it was never a leak. It was a test. She tapped again. The display zoomed out to show a flowchart labeled Operation Trojan Stack. Every few years, we'd drop carefully disguised discoveries onto our networks, partially complete. Just enough for a smart council infiltrator to finish. We monitored the signals, tracked the downloads, cataloged the results. She raised her eyes, and you bit every single time. Murmurs spread like wildfire through the chamber. Representatives began checking their own internal databases. Chen could see the flickers of surprise, of dawning realization. Some recognized files, others recognized code snippets, all of it human. Vexa finally found her voice. Why let us use your technology if you knew we were stealing it? Chen's face darkened. Because we wanted to see what you do with it. A silence fell again. You had the chance to work with us, to trade, to explore, to learn. But instead, you used our own stolen tech to try and enslave us. You took our containment algorithms and pointed them back at Earth. You passed off our science as weapons of domination. You leaned forward on the podium. You tried to break us with our own ideas. That's not just theft. That's insult. Rodriguez pushed off the wall and walked forward now, speaking more casually. You know what the best part is? He asked. Some of the stuff you stole wasn't even finished. We uploaded decoys with deliberate bugs. Half your fleet shielding systems are based on faulty gravity compensation code that causes drift under high stress. He pulled up a recent battle log, which is why your dreadnought's core ruptured during the Soul skirmish. Boom. He mimicked an explosion with his hands. Several representatives recoiled, horrified. Jen took over again. Let me make this clear. We're not here to demand reparations. We're not here to humiliate you. A pause. Well, maybe a little. A few human officers behind her chuckled. But mostly, we're here to reset the record. Everything you thought you knew about humans, forget it. Every belief about Earth as a chaotic, underdeveloped mess. That was your assumption. One we let you make. She brought up one last image, a glowing star map. At its center, Earth. Around it, red dots showing council incursions, stolen data transmissions, shadow programs. You watched us, studied us, mocked us. You thought we were too busy arguing about fast food and flat Earths to notice. The map rotated. Now the red dots disappeared, replaced by green ones. While you were spying on us, we were watching you. A pin could have dropped in the chamber and everyone would heard it. You used our tech to build your empire, Chen said softly. And now you know we let you. Vexa looked genuinely shaken. But you're saying everything, our ships, our protocols, are Earth derivatives, derivative at best, Chen replied. In some cases, straight up stolen. Rodriguez raised a hand. Quick heads up, if your encryption still uses the Falcon 9 secure stack, you might want to update. That system was cracked by a high schooler during lunch break 2 years ago. A representative from the Silicon Consciousness flickered with a chaotic stream of error lights. Their entire security grid had been designed using adapted human algorithms. They were panicking. As they should. Chen took a breath and softened her tone slightly. But it doesn't have to stay this way. She brought up a final display. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was an offer. A blueprint, clean, verified, open source. Here's a real Earth innovation, she said, freely offered. No traps, no viruses, no spyware. A propulsion method that could cut energy costs by 70%. A gift. Gasps rippled again, but these were different. Hopeful, curious. We're not here to conquer, Jen said. We're here to collaborate. But if you ever try to turn our work against us again, she let the silence finish the sentence. Later, as Chen and Rodriguez left the chamber, Tylon slithered after them, his stalk twitching. "Commander," he said carefully, "one final question. If we hadn't tried to contain you, if we'd come peacefully, would you have shared this with us?" Chen stopped. "Probably," she said, "but you didn't. You came with ships and smug superiority." Rodriguez nodded. "You gave us no choice but to turn your arrogance into our advantage." They left without another word. Behind them, a chamber full of supposedly advanced civilizations sat, staring at screens filled with human-made blueprints. They thought they were the masters of technology. Turned out, they were just test subjects. Exactly 1 year after the Galactic Council tried to enslave Earth, something extraordinary happened. They threw a party for it. And not just any party, no solemn memorials or awkward apologies. No tense diplomatic photo ops or carefully worded statements. The celebration was loud, colorful, and deeply, unapologetically human. Aliens wore party hats. Confetti rained from orbital drones. K-pop blared from speakers that had once broadcast surrender signals. And at the heart of it all, standing beneath a banner that read, "Happy First Contact Anniversary," in 42 different languages, stood Commander Amanda Chen. She looked around at the crowd species that had once voted to enslave her planet, now waiting in line for pizza slices and trying to figure out what karaoke was. It was surreal. It was ridiculous. It was perfect. The chamber, formerly known as, had been renovated in what humans jokingly called a retro-futuristic diner aesthetic. Bright neon panels, floating holographic menus, and booths with touchscreen tables lined the hall. The central AI had been reprogrammed with a new voice module and now greeted guests with, "Welcome, friend. Would you like mimes, diplomacy, or both?" Rodriguez stood beside the drink dispenser, handing out what he claimed were Earth smoothies, though no one could verify what was actually in them. His shirt read, "Survived an invasion, and all I got was this awesome galactic leadership." In the audience, none other than former Admiral Cater slouched in a seat, wearing a Hawaiian shirt over his crystalline exoskeleton. His victory cape had been traded for aviator sunglasses. Once the symbol of the Council's military dominance, he now taught a course at Earth's Lunar Academy titled, "So You Thought You Could Invade Earth? A Master Class in Humility." Chen stepped up to the podium, the crowd quieting. "Friends, allies, former would-be conquerors," she began, prompting chuckles. "1 year ago today, you all voted unanimously, I might add, to contain and enslave my people." The chuckles got more nervous. "And I get it. You thought we were chaotic, primitive, a danger to ourselves and others. You saw our infighting, our messy politics, our cat videos, and you assumed we weren't ready for the stars." She paused. "Well, joke's on you. We were born from chaos." She gestured behind her, where holographic panels cycled through moments of Earth history. The Wright brothers, the moon landing, the invention of the internet, the Mars colonies, the underground AI labs, the Global Peace Accord of 2099. The unification of Earth's space agencies. You see division. We see evolution. You saw instability. We saw innovation. And when the time came, we didn't just defend ourselves. We welcomed you. Another pause. You came expecting to teach us order. Instead, you got reality TV, meme economics, space tacos, and a weekly soap opera that now broadcasts to 6 sectors. Half the chamber burst into applause. The unification of Earth's space agencies. You see division. We see evolution. You saw instability. We saw innovation. And when the time came, we didn't just defend ourselves. We welcomed you. Another pause. You came expecting to teach us order. Instead, you got reality TV, meme economics, space tacos, and a weekly soap opera that now broadcasts to 6 sectors. Half the chamber burst into applause. The other half was too busy taking notes for licensing rights. Rodriguez stepped up beside her. "And let's not forget the real win. Only 3 economic collapses from meme trading. That's better than Wall Street in the early 2000s. Even Cater laughed. Over the past 12 months, Earth hadn't invaded a single planet. It hadn't established colonies. It hadn't forced its systems on anyone. But it had become the beating heart of galactic society. Alien ships lined up to enter Earth's orbit, not because they were forced, but because they wanted in. Universities were flooded with alien students trying to understand philosophy through comedy. Diplomats from former rival civilizations were now trading interstellar recipes on food blogs. Earth exports had become the galaxy's most in-demand resources, not weapons, but music that could trigger emotion in synthetic life forms. Food that somehow caused mild euphoria in over 30 species. Sports that confused yet captivated hive mind cultures. Stand-up comedy routines translated into telepathy. And of course, the full digital archive of cat videos, licensed exclusively through the Galactic Meme Repository, aka Meonet. Not everything went smoothly. The Silicon Consciousness still tried to start a meme-based cryptocurrency. It collapsed in 3 hours. The Harmonious Empaths accidentally started a galaxy-wide soccer league, which led to riots on 3 moons and 2 peaceful revolutions. The Quantum Nexus got addicted to TikTok dance trends and now hosted weekly choreography competitions broadcast in probability space. Earth's response: more exports, more advisors, more jokes. Inside the council chamber, Vexa, now Earth's lead cultural liaison, delivered her report with a straight face. "We've tracked 67% of known space adopting human cultural norms," she said. 42 systems now recognize pizza as a diplomatic offering. 11 have made karaoke a legal dispute resolution process. And 3 newly contacted species independently developed the concept of sarcasm after exposure to Earth comedy. Rodriguez leaned toward Chen. "Not bad for a species that argued about pineapple on pizza for 150 years. Still a work in progress," Chen said. As the celebration continued, Chen wandered toward a quiet corner where Tylon, the sea cucumber-like alien with twitchy stalks, waited. "Commander," he said, watching a group of space diplomats play a clumsy round of mini-golf, "I must ask. Did you truly plan all of this?" Chen smiled. "No, not exactly. But your cultural invasion, the viral content, the weaponized relatability." Chen shook her head. "We didn't plan it. We lived it." She sat on the edge of the fountain nearby. "You want the truth, Tylon? Humanity didn't win because we were stronger, or smarter, or more advanced. We won because we never gave up being ourselves." Tylon's stock tilted. "We laughed when we should have cried. We argued, but we never stopped moving forward. Our chaos isn't a flaw, it's a feature. And our culture?" She gestured around at the alien families trying hot dogs for the first time. "That's our real power." Rodriguez joined them. "You see, the galaxy was ready for another conqueror, another empire, another set of rules." He grinned. "But it wasn't ready for late-night YouTube binges, sleep-deprived genius inventors, competitive knitting leagues, or fan fiction tournaments where peace treaties are resolved through anime-style duels." Tylon blinked. "I don't know what half of that means." "You will," Chen said, "and you'll love it." As night fell on the capital world, ships buzzed in and out of the system like fireflies. Somewhere in orbit, a holographic projector played a rerun of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, subtitled in 16 languages. On the surface, alien children learned how to skateboard while humming Earth pop songs. In every direction, the legacy of Earth's culture stretched further, not through conquest, but through curiosity, not by force, but by connection. Later that evening, Chen stood alone on the embassy balcony. She watched the stars, breathing in the cool, recycled air. In her hand was a tiny artifact, an old Earth coin, one side engraved with the phrase, "E pluribus unum," out of many, one. Humanity had taken that to heart, not just on Earth, but beyond it. Through chaos, it found unity. Through struggle, it found creativity. Through misunderstanding, it found understanding. And now, it shared that lesson with the stars. The real-world lesson, what happened in that fictional galaxy, is, in many ways, a mirror of who we are as a species today. We are messy, loud, contradictory, emotional, sometimes brilliant, sometimes reckless, but our strength has never been perfection. It's been adaptation. We invent in garages. We solve problems through memes. We protest. We fall in love with stories. We share dreams with strangers across time zones. We build culture not in ivory towers, but in kitchens, cafes, and Discord servers. The new age often underestimates us because it sees the noise. But beneath the noise is connection, creativity, resilience. We don't just survive chaos, we thrive in it. So when the world seems prosponse, more exports, more advisors, more jokes. Inside the council chamber, Vexa, now Earth's lead cultural liaison, delivered her report with a straight face. "We've tracked 67% of known space-adopting human cultural norms," she said. 42 systems now recognize pizza as a diplomatic offering. 11 have made karaoke a legal dispute resolution process. And 3 newly contacted species independently developed the concept of sarcasm after exposure to Earth comedy. Rodriguez leaned toward Chen. "Not bad for a species that argued about pineapple on pizza for 150 years. Still a work in progress," Chen said. As the celebration continued, Chen wandered toward a quiet corner where Tilon, the sea cucumber-like alien with twitchy stalks, waited. "Commander," he said, watching a group of space diplomats play a clumsy round of mini-golf, "I must ask, did you truly plan all of this?" Chen smiled. "No, not exactly. But your cultural invasion, the viral content, the weaponized relatability." Chen shook her head. "We didn't plan it. We lived it." She sat on the edge of the fountain nearby. "You want the truth, Tylon? Humanity didn't win because we were stronger, or smarter, or more advanced. We won because we never gave up being ourselves." Tylon's stock tilted. "We laughed when we should have cried. We argued, but we never stopped moving forward. Our chaos isn't a flaw, it's a feature. And our culture." She gestured around at the alien families trying hot dogs for the first time. "That's our real power." Rodriguez joined them. "You see, the galaxy was ready for another conqueror. Another empire, another set of rules." He grinned. "But it wasn't ready for late-night YouTube binges, sleep-deprived genius inventors, competitive knitting leagues, or fan-fiction tournaments where peace treaties are resolved through anime-style duels." Tylon blinked. "I don't know what half of that means." "You will," Chen said, "and you'll love it." As night fell on the capital world, ships buzzed in and out of the system like fireflies. Somewhere in orbit, a holographic projector played a rerun of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, subtitled in 16 languages. On the surface, alien children learned how to skateboard while humming Earth pop songs. In every direction, the legacy of Earth's culture stretched further, not through conquest, but through curiosity, not by force, but by connection. Later that evening, Chen stood alone on the embassy balcony. She watched the stars, breathing in the cool, recycled air. In her hand was a tiny artifact, an old Earth coin, one side engraved with the phrase, "E pluribus unum." Out of many, one. Humanity had taken that to heart, not just on Earth, but beyond it. Through chaos, it found unity. Through struggle, it found creativity. Through misunderstanding, it found understanding. And now, it shared that lesson with the stars. The real-world lesson, what happened in that fictional galaxy, is, in many ways, a mirror of who we are as a species today. We are messy, loud, contradictory, emotional, sometimes brilliant, sometimes reckless. But our strength has never been perfection. It's been adaptation. We invent in garages. We solve problems through memes. We protest. We fall in love with stories. We share dreams with strangers across time zones. We build culture not in ivory towers, but in kitchens, cafes, and Discord servers. The right often underestimates us because it sees the noise, but beneath the noise is connection, creativity, resilience. We don't just survive chaos. We thrive in it, so when the